So in this episode of A1 Agents, I've got a good friend that I just met. The internet's a really cool place. His name is Nicholas Ayers. And Nick do you go by Nick?
I go by whatever you get correct. I get called everything that rhymes with Nick, seldom Nick. So Nick, Nicholas, whatever comes out, I'll answer. I've answered to worse.
Cool, man. Yeah, I go by both Nicks as well. So Nick is a true entrepreneur. He's built successful insurance agencies, YouTube channels. He's the co-founder of Better Agency, which we'll get into. Better Agency is a sales-driven AMS and CRM all-in-one tool uh, that's helping hundreds, soon to be thousands of insurance agents. He's a marketer, insurance agency owner, content creator, videographer, to name a few. Got an impressive resume, man. Nick, thanks for sharing your time with us today.
Hey, I appreciate you having me on here. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the conversation. This is a world that I don't tap in too much into, and I believe, this is my assumption. Maybe tell me if I'm wrong or not, but I believe a lot of the folks that are following you are Allstate agents. Is that a fair assumption?
Fair assumption, absolutely. Allstate is the company that I obviously own a few insurance agencies with, and I'm connected with like all the Allstate agents. But I would say that some of my videos that have really blown up are people just getting into the PNC world.
Mm,
So just
yeah,
one of my videos is like how to pass your PNC test,
yeah.
and so like a lot of people just scratching the surface, just getting in. Surprisingly, a lot of farmers offices, indie agents too. But I'm not able to add as much value as I'm sure you will to my independent audience, and so that's
Yeah,
where this is going to be very valuable. And you've got some awesome stuff in the works that I can't wait for you to talk about. So, do you mind sharing your story with how you got started with video and then insurance?
sure. So video started a lot longer. It's a much longer progression. So I started my very first job. I worked in a public access TV station. And I was 13, 14 years old, getting paid cash on the table. My job was to man the broadcast cameras. And I fell in love with that. And I fell in love with, this is public access television. So we're probably talking 1997, 1998. And I fell in love with that, but I also fell in love with editing. And I learned how to edit video at that time. And it was fun. It was cool. This was pre, internet video marketing. This was, I think, at the very ground level of even Google, if I remember correctly at that time. And so there wasn't like this demand for talking head videos or making, being on camera, but I learned how to edit videos, and I was editing videos for small businesses and things like that. And it was fun. It was really enjoyable. And I
What
loved
year
doing
was
that.
this, Nick?
1997, 1998.
Wow,
Yeah.
wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. So
This is
so
literally
pre Y2K, for
right,
the for
right, right.
for the generation who understands that. And so really enjoyed that. And then as I started to get into the college age years, I started to really find another passion, which was marketing. And I loved the idea of marketing and salesmanship and all of that, and selling through marketing. And so I was able to kind of start to combine this idea of, hey, I know how to make this stuff. And then I started to use it to then build, my own brands or the brands of those that I was associated with at the time. Fast forward a little bit, I had some smaller end jobs. I got recruited into the insurance industry in 2005. And I was lured in with the promise of yachts and big money and early retirement. And if you have sold insurance for more than a week, you know that that's possible, but that's not as easy as it's made out to be sometimes.
Is it
Uh,
network marketing? It sounds like
no,
a network marketing dream.
no. It was just I got recruited in by a manager who said, "Hey, come work for us, sell insurance, and you will make a ton of money." Now, it was a little different even back in 2005. The way you did marketing, the way people thought about insurance. This was this is when people were still advertising in the phone books, and that was the number one lead source where people would say, "I found you in the yellow pages." So this is, while it feels like it's not that long ago, it was an eternity ago compared to today. And was working as a producer and selling insurance. 2012 or 2011, I left to take on another insurance, kind of where it was in my mind an elevated step, a producer role, for a different organization, different company, and I was the number one producer in that market, which was the Northern California market. I was the number one salesperson. I'm now in my mid to late 20s, and I was fired 1 year, almost to the day. I was fired as their number one producer. The reason why I was fired is because I was doing things like Facebook ads and landing pages and generating leads. And they said, this was in the captive corporate world, they said, you can't do that. And I said, well, you're going to have to fire me. And they said, okay, you're fired. And I remember driving home that day thinking, I will never work for anybody for as long as I ever live. I'm never doing that again. And I launched with a partner, I launched an independent insurance agency from scratch. No policies, no commission dollars coming in. And the rest was sort of history from there. We launched an agency, sold it in 2018, did pretty well on that. And then like a glutton for punishment, banging my head against the wall, I did it again almost immediately. And then sold that to go full-time with the founding a better agency.
And what year was that?
Better Agency started in 2019, but I went full time in 2021. January 12/31/2020 was my last day as an insurance agency owner.
Wow. So corporate, and then start a scratch agency, sell it, start another one, sell it, and then go and co-found a pretty awesome company, which we're going to talk about.
Yeah. So that's my journey in the insurance industry, everything from producer to agency owner, chief bottle washer, and everything in between, spinning all the plates.
Awesome, man. So you have experience, and that's why I think you're probably so able to relate with insurance agents, is because you've been there, you've done that, and we're going to talk about it here. But one of the questions I have for you, Nick, is you're a huge advocate for using video to grow your business. Why should insurance agents use more video? And what should they do once they start making more video? Like, is there a way to promote it? Like, what should they be doing?
Yeah. So the reason why you should make more video, and this seems to have been a talking point for a number of years. So if it hasn't yet been caught by the person watching this video, why should I do video? Do I need to do video? Think about it this way. When it comes to sales and marketing, the reason why people make decisions, whether they're buying blue jeans, a pack of bubble gum, or private islands in the Bahamas, is usually it revolves around an emotional connection. I am emotionally connected. Now I use logic to justify my emotional response. So what video does is it allows you to scale human emotions in a way that transcends any other medium other than you and me sitting down at a table, shaking hands, locking eyes, and having a belly-to-belly conversation. Video allows you to kind of break through that barrier. And it allows you to do what other forms of communication, whether it's written, the written word is very powerful, whether it's photographic, and images are powerful, but video allows you to do that much more at scale, allows people to have context. When I write something, and I've been guilty of this a million times, I'm guilty of it almost every single day. I write something and people maybe misunderstand what the context or what it is that I'm trying to do. And no matter how clear I try to make it in my own brain, there are little nuances that get mixed. You and I are having this conversation on video. If it was a chat widget on a website, it would look and feel very, very different. The interpretation and how we respond to it would be different. But because you can see my mannerisms, you can hear my voice, I can see you, I can hear your voice, we're able to have a different level of connection that really only happens when you can see, when there's motion, when there's movement. And that's why video is very, very powerful. When it comes to distribution, I'm a big believer that, where the old adage is content is king. I believe that distribution is just as important, if not more important, than just creating the content. You can make the best piece of content in the world, but if you have no distribution strategy to get that into the hands of people who are most likely to make a decision, an emotional decision in your favor, then it doesn't really matter what you make. And so distribution is important. I happen to be a very big fan, as I know you are, of YouTube, but I also using video in other mediums. It doesn't just have to be a YouTube channel. It could be video chat messenger. It could be Facebook Lives. It could be Instagram or stories or anything like that. the point is that it's never been easier to make video than it is today. When I first started in 1997, 1998, making video, that was unheard of. It was thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars. And to be on something as good of a quality as public broadcast television. Now, anybody, every Tom, Dick, and Harry and their mother can make video on their smartphone. They can do it on a webcam. It doesn't have to be polished. It doesn't have to be professional, because the world has gotten used to that authentic feeling of I just want to be able to have the message said to me in a way that's clear that I can connect to it. And that's why you want to do video. The reason, number one, if I can boil it down, the TLDR version of this is because your customers, your prospects expect it. That's why.
Got you. What were some of the things that you were doing when you were an insurance agent with video?
We were doing things, we relied very heavily at the time, and I still think it's a good strategy, but we were relying very heavily at the time on a couple different pillars. Video to build brand. So we would do things like digital billboards, where I would have essentially a 45-second to a minute spot, and I would run it as a YouTube ad or a Facebook ad over targeted areas. And it was just about, this is who we are, this is what we do, just kind of repetition, the direct response aspect of trying to engage people and get them to become a lead or traditional lead generation. I didn't emphasize that as much as I just wanted people to be so familiar with who we were and what we did that I was willing to spend $10, $15 a day to blast that out to hundreds and thousands of people in my local community, so that when they called in or they went on a website or they were evaluating things or they were asking questions at Facebook groups, the brand repetition and the brand lift was there. That was number one. Number two, we would run a lot of video ads for lead generation, and we would run a lot of ads to try to get people to take action on things. And we would do this on platforms, again, like YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. We also used video as a way, going back to the brand side, to insert our personality into things. If you go to insurance agent websites nowadays, it feels like everyone is a cookie cutter version of the same thing. They all say the same things. They all look like the same things. They all say, everything is very similar. Maybe the colors change. And this could be true of a lot of corporate, carrier websites as well. And what we were able to do in a way to kind of create a wedge into there was to inject our personality. We have in our staff, we wanted to highlight those things in our personality, the things that made us different, the things that made us human beings, the things that made us relatable to everybody else in our, in our circle where we're doing business, and also to reach into places where we were trying to expand. So my agency, my second agency, we were licensed in 23 states. We would use video as a way to inject ourselves into those other states and do that. And when you do things like, specifically on YouTube, and you rely on an organic channel like YouTube, hey, I'm going to make video, people are going to search for it, they have a chance to find my stuff. When you're licensed in more states and you're running a digital agency like we were, then you become much more open to people who are looking to take action. So those are some different ways. I think a digital billboard, I think also a way to use video as a means to build affinity or connections with people in specific niches in your community is also something that agents can and should be doing.
Awesome, man. Man, you give some very well articulated answers, man. You're I don't know if anybody's ever told you this, man, but you are you are very intelligent, man. Like, you just know your stuff, man. And did all this stuff did you just naturally understand all these things as far as marketing, or it took you some years?
It's not a finished product. I am constantly learning, constantly trying to improve, constantly trying to learn more. And I think the moment you feel like you know it all, or that you feel like you've arrived, is when you stop growing. Things that are alive and doing well are growing. And so that's where I want to position myself. It's constantly. Now, it started with a very deep passion to learn these things. And that passion drives you to learn. It drives you to read books. It drives you to go to events. It drives you to make connections with people so that you can learn and so you can level up. And so I'm a big believer in mentorship. I'm a big believer that I got to have people around me that are more intelligent than me, so that I can continuously take that next step. I also believe it's important, and this is a leadership lesson. This isn't just about video or marketing. This is about being effective in leadership. You should always have that mentor relationship. You should also have that person that is looking to you as a mentor and that you're pouring into as well, because that is what keeps your game sharp. And so that's where it started. That's how I want to position myself. I want to position myself in the middle. I want to have people that are pouring into me, and I want to have people that I'm also trying to pour into.
Okay. Nicholas, what's the most exciting thing you're working on right now? And this is a rhetorical question, but what's the most exciting thing you're working on right now?
Every day I wake up and I'm excited. I had this conversation with my wife just about the thing. I do not do well with split focus and split attention. I have to be all in, and right now I am all in with Better Agency, and I'm really really excited about what we're doing. I don't. I want to spare the listeners the commercial where it's not needed, but that's what I'm excited about. Knowing what our product roadmap is, knowing what we're going to be announcing here, knowing where we're going to help agents succeed, sell more business, and to really pour into our channel. That is what excites me. That's what has me working 6-7 days a week. And I'm not a fan of the hustle culture. I'm just not. But I can't stop but think about all the cool stuff that we're doing, and that's what gets me excited.
Can you talk about Better Agency? I mean, I don't think it's not gonna be a commercial or anything like that. But as I was looking into it, it looks really cool. Like I'm using Blitz Lead Manager right now and DYL for my lead management,
Yeah.
and we've made it work just to keep the phone and the lead management on the same platform. But just watching the little video that's on the website, it just looks really freaking cool and very like organized and color coded and just
Yeah.
very pleasing, I guess, to the eye, I guess. Can you
Yeah,
talk about that?
it's built with insurance in mind. And so my passion is for um uh, I might have to extrapolate this a little bit. My passion is really for the independent insurance agent. That's who I try to serve. That's who I'm trying to help. And so it's built with the independent insurance agent in mind. And in the independent insurance agency world, this in the event if I have to give a quick overview for those who may not be aware or familiar with it, you write insurance with different carriers. Those carriers download that information into what is called an AMS, an agency management system. And for years, the tech providers in our space, there's a number of them. The idea behind an AMS was to just collect data. It became a Rolodex of sorts. Um, it became a heavy, clunky version of a CRM if the CRM was built in 1994 during the O.J. Simpson trial. What Better Agency did is said, okay, we want to take that information and we want to create workflows. We want to automate campaigns. We want to automate things for the sales, service, claims, and renewal process, so that if you are coming up on a renewal and it increases by a certain threshold that you've deemed appropriate for your state, say in Florida it's X% versus Wyoming it's Y%, then you can automate different communications. You can do things and you can do it offhand. We want to empower agents. We believe in pouring into agents, and we're going to invest in the independent agency channel. We believe more than anybody else is going to do it. We don't believe anybody else is going to invest more into the channel and helping agents have agency success. And that's what we're doing. So it's CRM, marketing automation for insurance, custom made. It's not built on anything else. It's agency management system. It's proposals, and you'll see in the next 6-12 months you're going to see some really cool developments. We believe in one platform. The thing I get so jealous about when it comes to the captive agent experience is I feel like, this is perception only, you guys have maybe one or two systems that you have to rely on, whereas an independent agent has 15 different systems that they got to rely on. It's a Frankenstein's monster. It's a hodgepodge, a smorgasbord of technology and a tech stack, and you get $49.95 to death. We want to unify the technology. We want one platform in one browser. Most carriers still to this day won't operate in anything other than Internet Explorer or Microsoft Edge. We think that is ludicrous. We want one platform in one Chrome browser so that you can manage your day, you can manage your workflows, you can delight your clients, you can automate what you're doing, and you can be really the point of value, what you need to be doing in your agency. And to help it grow, whether it's training, recruiting, marketing, putting gas in the tank. That's what we want to help agents do. We don't want them to feel like that the technology damages them. We don't want them to feel like they have to fight a battle against the Amazons, against the Lemonades, against whoever might want to jump into the game using armor from 30 years ago. We want to equip them. We want to enable them. That's what it's for.
Got it. And is this something that, like, if a captive agent did want to try it out, is it only catered to the independent?
No, we have a number of captive agents on it. So the way that I break down is not so much by demographic, but more by psychographic. I've met a number of captive agents who, in my mind, I go, they should be independent. They think just like an independent agent does. Maybe their contracts are a little different, granted, but they
I
think
think
about,
I would go as far as saying that it crosses the mind of every single captive agent, including
yeah,
mine, right?
yeah,
So
yeah. So you don't have to have the downloads, the policy downloads. That is an independent agent feature, but that's something that you don't have to have, and you can have just the CRM. But we think, again, we're thinking about the um, we're thinking about the person who thinks about their business maybe a little bit differently. Um, Honestly, if I'm being fully transparent with you, part of what we're a little hesitant to do is to get into the corporate game and have to play by the corporate rules, if you know what I
mm,
mean. And so
right.
we don't want to be beholden to that stuff. We want to empower agents to do what they do best, and that is serve their clients, serve their community. So we have a number of captives on the platform. We have a number of people who have different setups and all that, and they utilize it. So if you're a captive agent and you want to buy it, we're going to be very clear with you as to what it does and what it does not do. We're going to also be very clear on what our roadmap is if and where we're not going to go. And if you're the person who says, "Well, I still want it," okay, fair
Right,
enough.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Can you talk about your events? I mean, I briefly looked at, 2021 to 2022's Better Agency event,
Mhm.
and it like doubled in size, and
Yeah.
it looked really, really awesome, man. I can only imagine what you guys are going to do with it next year and in like 5 years from now, what that's going to look like. Can you talk about the Better Agency event that you're having?
Yeah, so we just had this past weekend. It was our second event. We had about 250 to 300 people there, if you count exhibitors as well. And we're really excited. We think that next year we're already. I mean, events take about 18 months to really do well for the scale that we want to do. We're talking about hotels and vendors and all this stuff, and we're really excited about it. We're going to be making some announcements on it, things that we're hoping to put under contract and make happen. But really, some of the lessons that we've learned and things that we're gonna move forward is we don't want to make it a better agency conference. We want to make it an industry conference. We want to make it a conference for those who are dedicated to and focused on agency success. And that's gonna be everything from the brand to everything that we do going forward, helping personal lines, commercial lines. It will be on the P&C side. That is who we cater to. If there's one thing we cater to, it's to the P&C agent.
Mhm.
And so we hope to have anywhere between 750 and 1,000 people there next year, business owners, decision makers, agency owners, who also want to bring their staff and producers or CSRs, whoever is on their team, who's an intrinsic part of their own agency success. We want to help those people as well. We want to make it a lot less about better agency. We want to make it much more about helping agents of every stripe find success in their agency. So there'll be a number of workshops, keynotes. We're going to bring in the reason why I can't say because it's not under contract yet, but we're going to bring in some professional global headline speakers that we're just hoping
Awesome.
to dot some I's and cross some T's on and make some announcements on soon. And we're going to invest in our channel. We're going to invest in our industry. We're going to invest in agents. Even if it has nothing to do with our own technology, we know that if we help them grow, we help them improve, that it's going to be an intersection anyways. But if it's not today, that's fine. And so that's going to be next year. It's going to always be around the February to April timeframe, and it will more than likely always be here in Phoenix. Phoenix is beautiful this time of year, and so we're excited. We had a great community, a great I guess, culture around the people that come to the event, want to come to the event, and we're excited to do something that isn't being done in our space. And so that's what we're looking forward to.
Yeah, I'd agree with you there. I don't think there's not a lot of us, especially like we were talking about before we jumped on this, is I feel like there are so many real estate influencers, right? And I'm not considering you and I an influencer, right? But there are so many
It's one thing I always
people.
wanted to be. It's I could tell my mom I made it. Mom, I'm an insurance influencer. I'm a
I,
celebrity. Aren't you proud of
I don't,
me?
we don't got to live like this anymore, Mom. So, but I don't think there's a lot of us in the insurance space. And when your YouTube channel popped up, and I just started kind of binge watching your content. I left you a comment on one of them. I'm like, yo, this is great. Like, where have you been? Like, I didn't even. I'm like, I felt like I already knew. When you're posting content about insurance, you kind of know about everybody, and I don't know why it took some time for the algorithm to put your content in front of me.
God
But
bless that algorithm.
I really loved your video on your tips and tricks with mortgage officers and loan
Mm,
officers, and
mm.
some of the value that you're bringing, man. It's very universal to helping even us on the captive side, right? There's
Sure.
some of the stuff that you talk about that I'm like, that doesn't relate to me, but the majority of it does. And if so here, let me pivot into this question. What's the number one, I guess, theme or advice that you're giving insurance agents that are struggling? And let me ask you something real quick before we jump into that. Is it true that 90% of insurance agents fail in the first couple years?
That's what I hear.
That's what I hear. I'm not sure if
I,
it's true.
I don't. Yeah, I don't know where people are getting that from. But maybe there's a study that shows that. Maybe it's the amount of licenses that start and lapse. A license is good for so many years, and so I don't quite honestly know how that metric is kept and tracked or validated. But it's the talking point, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, because it got me even saying it, and then recently I started questioning myself, like, wait, do that many insurance agents fail? And so, um, w- what's the number one advice you give you know to insurance agents?
I think it ebbs and flows. I go in seasons, if I'm being honest with you, because I try to figure out, okay, what am I really feeling based on what I'm seeing. I talk to a lot of agents almost on a daily basis, whether they are users of Better Agency or not. Just trying to keep my ear to the ground and my finger on the pulse a little bit. I'd say right now, a lot of it really deals with processes and data, and in our, especially in the independent world, data is such a huge buzzword. It's what automation was 3 years ago. Everyone's concerned about data. And so it's really talking about having a process for your data. A lot of data that we have is so inaccurate, it's so incomplete, from a ground level, whether it's duplicate information or whether it is uh, information that's not updated or just it's clunky. And it's hard to play offense with data that is incomplete or inaccurate. It's hard to know where you need to go. It's hard to find the North Star when you don't know which way north is. And so if you're, as an example, if you believe, and we see this all the time, we see this almost every single day. If I were to ask an independent insurance agent, and I'm sure it's very true on the captive side as well, if I were to ask an independent insurance agent, what do you think your retention rate is? I'm almost always going to get something around 89 to 92%, maybe 93, maybe 94 sprinkled in, but I'm always going to get that. And then we find out by actually going into the data and cleaning it. And we have to come back and say, John or Sue, your retention is actually 73%. And this is the real data. And it's hard to have a direction you want to go when you're banking on things that just aren't there or not factual. Another common example is if I were to ask somebody, what percentage of your book of business is monoline, meaning it only has one policy? I'm always going to almost get something around the lines of I'm 90 to 98% packaged. Everyone thinks they package everything. And then when we actually put the real data in, it's like 44%. So people just don't know. And so really there's a problem there. The problem is you've got to make sure your data is correct. And then you're going to have processes in place that's going to actually be actionable, and it's going to help you kind of be within these swim lanes that you need to be in your agency. It's hard to have agency success when you don't know up from down or left from right. And so getting very clear on what it is that we're doing, having very clear SOPs, standard operating procedures that I can give to anybody in my agency. I don't want to be a solopreneur. I don't want to just have me, myself, and I, and maybe one CSR or one virtual assistant. I want to have a team, and I want that team to be hitting on all cylinders. And in order for them to hit on all cylinders, I, as a leader, have to hit on all cylinders. It's a leadership lesson. It's knowing that you're running your business. I see far too many people who get into the agency ownership game because they were really good producers. That's usually the graduation. I've maxed out as a producer. Now I'm going to go open an agency. It's a different ball game. It's a different ball of wax when you go from working in a business to now you need to work on a business and you need to be more of a strategist as opposed to a tactician. And so I think that's the thing that I'm constantly trying to reiterate today, as it stands today, reiterate to agents. And listen, I don't come from this like I was this operations guru. That's not it. I mean, I think I did okay, but it's when you get out of it and you kind of see how people are doing it and you're not in that trench doing it yourself anymore, you can kind of look at it and say, there's a much better way to do this. And there's technology now that actually enables this, that helps this. Technology is not the cure-all for everything. It's not a silver bullet. If you've got broken processes, if you don't start with why you're doing it, who you're doing it for, and what you need to do, then it doesn't matter. No technology is going to fix that. It starts kind of with you being a leader and knowing where you need to go. And so that's today, when as we record this, that's the message that I'm constantly trying to reiterate to my peers and those in the industry. It's you've got to get this stuff detailed. You got to get this stuff dialed in, because if you just fly by the seat of your pants, you're never going to grow. You're never going to be able to improve the metrics that need to improve. You're never going to be able to pull the right levers, and you're going to always be stuck in this never-ending cycle of churn, of being burnt out. And that's where it starts. You've got to start on that front end of getting stuff dialed in the way that it needs to be, according to your own preferences, but also rely on some best practices.
Yeah. So I got out of that is know your numbers.
Know your numbers, but also know. It's like the simplest way. If I were to explain this to my 8-year-old, okay, Liam, if this happens, what should happen next? If this, then that, right? Phone call comes in, inbound phone call, inbound website lead. If this, then what? Having a real process that you consistently stick to. So I'll give you an example in our agency. One thing that we did. I made the decision probably somewhere around 2017. We were we were only going to accept service requests by one way only. One way. I got this idea. I was driving down the street, and are we okay on time if I tell this story?
Oh, we're good. We're good.
I was driving down the street and I needed to make an appointment at with my doctor. I was gonna get a physical. Called the hospital, thinking I'd reach the front desk or something. I don't know what I was thinking. And the receptionist, the operator, said, in order to make an appointment, you have to go online to this website and you have to schedule an appointment with your primary care doctor. I thought, okay, yeah, no problem. Easy enough. They made it simple. They explained it. And that's what I did. And then I thought about how we were doing service in our agency. And I remember the days of starting an agency and what do you do? At this time, it was, hey, if you need anything you need on your policy, you can email me. You can text me. You can send me a Facebook message. You can tweet at me. You can send me something on Instagram. You can send carrier pigeons or smoke signals or telegrams, and I'll do it. And that's all sounds really good. You sound like you're really available. The problem is people start to do that. Yep. and it sucks, right? Things fall through the cracks. You don't have a process for this. It's just you're doing it because you want to. If you just have a simple process, doesn't matter what the process is, and you explain it, you make it simple, people will do it. So I said, we're only going to accept service by people who go onto our website and fill out this form. It had conditional logic so that if people answered something, it asked different questions. And I made people go through this process. Hey, I need to make a change I need to replace the car on my policy. Great. Here's where you're going to need to go. I'll text it to you if it's easy, but I need you to fill out this form because it goes into our system. My team gets it. We put it in a pipeline. We execute it, and we're going to send you. And we had automation tied to it and all that stuff. Thousands of transactions through that. And I can maybe count on one hand the amount of people who said, I don't want to do that. I just want to call you. And when they say that, we just say, well, we understand that, but there's a really good chance we're going to fat finger something or mess it up. So we want to make sure we do it right for you. But it's that process. And that's what's missing in a lot of people's businesses. They just cater to everybody and they don't have a definition of what it is to run their own business. And so I think that's kind of what I'm harping on a lot around these days, but that could change in the next couple months too.
Right. Yeah, I think it's so powerful that when you have SOPs or key performance indicators with your, even like your team, it's so easy to have or it's so easy for your team to know, or your people to know what's expected of them. And if if within their first, like, I don't know if it's a new employee, if it's in their first 60 or 90 days, they know what's going to come if they don't perform. Or uh, I think it makes business a lot easier. I'm and like most insurance agents, in your first 2, 3, 4, or 5 years, you're just figuring it out and you're creating those processes. It's like, I'll do
You're
anything and everything.
you're figuring it out, and a couple things tend to happen. You come up with some really bad habits.
Yes.
You get somewhat behind the 8 ball. Now you have to go back and correct the things that were messed up. You have to recondition staff. You have to recondition your customers. And that's not to say you won't have iterations. You're always going to have an iteration, a tweak, an improvement, an enhancement. But wholesale, there's going to be times where you're going to go, man, if I can go back and do this over again, if I can go back and do this over again, I would never write a policy that wasn't direct bill EFT, right? I would go back and I would never do X. Well, that starts today, honestly. And whether you've been in business for 30 years, 3 months, or 3 days, like that, you got to start somewhere. And so doing it right as much as you can and iterating, and this takes intentional thought. I think what happens a lot is agents see what other agents do in different markets and they go, well, I'm going to do that. It's a very much a monkey see, monkey do type thing. And that might work, but the way that someone does business on the coast of Florida is probably going to be very different from the way that I do business in Arizona, just naturally.
Right.
And so you have to kind of put that stuff through a filter, and you have to see what's going to work for me, my staff, and my customers. And there's no right way or wrong way. It's really, at the end of the day, it's preferences, but you got to have what that way is, and you've got to be able to articulate it and try to figure out ways to think beyond just today. Think about, like, where do you want your business to be in a year? Think about where you want your agency to be in 10 years. And now a lot can change. The market can change, and the way insurance is done and transacted and all that stuff can change. I get it. But at least have a vision for it and where you want to go and how you want to get there.
Yeah. Now for people that are, right, like, it took you some time to figure out what this is, and you kind of just alluded to, it's always changing.
Mm-hmm.
Where does somebody start, Nick? Like, where does somebody start when, like, I've heard of people paying certain coaches to come and review every single process in their business, not just insurance, but in their business, and then to create processes around it, to get it typed up into a handbook, et cetera, et cetera. Where does an insurance agent start to become more efficient?
I think at first it starts with, I'm going to give you kind of a two-pronged what I would do. I would try to tap all of the free resources that I can. So I would be subscribing to your channel. I would be subscribing to my channel. I'd look for other resources, and I would pass it through a filter, right? I would establish what is my filter first. Okay, I don't want to do anything that's X. I only want to focus on commercial lines. I only want to focus on this niche, right? Try to pass things through that filter first and tap all of the free resources that you can. Facebook groups. You go to Facebook groups, there's 1,000 of them from insurance. And you got to be careful, right? Again, apply the filter, but you ask questions, you're going to have the people that love to have their voice be heard. We all know the type. They're going to have that noise. It's your job to say, okay, I'm gonna maybe ask this person some questions. I'm gonna get some clarity around this. I'm gonna do my own type of research. I do think there is a time and place for hiring coaches and consultants. I've done that in my career. Again, a big fan of mentorship. I think there's a lot of good quality business consultants and coaches and people who filter and circle around the insurance agency space that are good. I think you have to vet them, and don't just think about the price, but think about, I would get as much research. I don't know that I need to name names, but I would do some research on them and see, okay, is this what I really want? I think you should contemplate. I think it's all about community. Find the community that you're going to fit in. I've been in a number of those communities, and you eat the meat and spit out the bones, right? And so
do you still have a community, Nick?
I know. So the
On a Facebook group or no?
I've recently stepped away from that. And
Okay.
so, but there are, so, I mean, there's lots of them now, and you can find them again. There's a lot of bones in there. You got to just eat the meat and get rid of the rest, and find out what's going to work for you. Again, what works for everybody doesn't necessarily going to work in your market, but
Yeah.
there's a lot of, here's the thing I say about the insurance space. There's a lot of really selfless people that would love to help you. There's
It's
a
a
lot of
great
people who,
industry, man.
it's a fantastic industry.
It's such a great industry. Yeah,
It's
lots
so
of good
good. I
people.
mean, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're around the corner or in 3 states away. Like, there's so many people that will like help you. It's amazing, and the community is fantastic. So I would tap those resources as much as possible. But here's the thing: you're going to learn the most when you implement something.
Yeah.
That's just the fact. Implement something. Fail fast. Fail small. Like aim small, miss small, into some degree, and iterate and figure out. Okay, I mean, you don't delegate the common sense to somebody else. You know what you
Yeah.
need to do. You know what's best for your clients. You know what's best for your staff. Take in wisdom and get some counsel, but don't delegate the common sense to somebody else when you don't have to. And so, like, iterate, implement, iterate again, and learn.
Yeah, Nick, man, I want to acknowledge you, man. One thing that I'm getting from you is your just extreme focus, and you saying that I stepped away from the Facebook group. I sold my agency to go all in, and one of the things that, dude, I'll be honest with you, man, I struggle with is I don't step away from many things. Like I I need to delegate more, right, to be able to have that intense focus. And I commend you for being able to do that, man. It just means you're giving like all of you to this one thing and your mission. So I commend you for that. Just want to acknowledge you.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
So we're coming up on the end here, Nick, and man, you're certainly giving me some stuff to think about. And but the last question I end every A1 agent's YouTube video interview with is with the A1 question, which is A1 stands for to the highest of standards, the highest of principles. And I like to ask everybody, what are 3 standards that you either live your life by or your business by, whichever one you feel more comfortable sharing?
It's a great question. I don't know that I've put it in words, or I don't know that I have the vinyl letters on my wall like a mission statement.
Yeah.
But and I'm not perfect at it by any means, but you do the right thing even when you don't want to, and you take care of your family. And I think if I had to just simplify it, it's those things. I do what I do because I love the community that I'm in. I love helping friends and peers and people that I don't even know. But I do it at the end of the day to take care of my family. And it's not just a monetary thing. It's more than just a monetary thing. And I think doing the right thing, even when you don't want to, really sucks sometimes, if I'm just being honest.
Yeah.
It really sucks.
Yeah.
And I'm not perfect at it, but I want to be better at it. And so it's a North Star. It's a direction to go. And so live your life with integrity, serve others, help people where you can. And honestly, everything that I have in my life is a result of, because every good thing that I have in my life is a result of, I think, of me saying, let me help somebody else get what they want first.
Mm.
And so it's not the best mission. It's not the best, most articulate mission statement, but
No, man, that's amazing. I love it. I love it, man. Well, Nick, man, how can people find you if they want to connect with you?
best way to connect with me, I would say, is follow me on YouTube. We post videos every single day, every single week of something, whether it's a live stream. We do a live show every single Wednesday night on our channel for Better Agency. It's our spin on a podcast. I didn't want to do a podcast because everybody has a podcast, but we have a live show with a live audience, and we take live questions. And so I would say that's the best place to engage with me if you just want to jump on one of those calls, and we'll break down anything. I don't. Everything is fair game. And so that would be the best place is subscribe to the channel and join us on our weekly show, Agency Success Live.
Let's go, man. Well, Nick, I appreciate your time, man, and God bless you. This was an awesome interview. Lots to unpack here, and I hope, I wish you nothing but success, man. I think you're doing amazing things for this industry, and so again, much respect to you, brother. And until next time.